You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. KAMBWILI denies proposing the postponement of the 2021 general elections. 100 houses on the verge of collapse in CHIPATA district. NKANDU claims 1 million export deal of gold to Saudi Arabia has been affected by COVID-19. In international news, police fire water cannon as Tunisians march on parliament. And in sports news, FIFA clears KAMANGA executive committee candidature after passing integrity check. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television for non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage. Zambia needs Camnet television for national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia. Watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on Go TV, and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. More than 100 houses in CHIPATA's Mutilansembe area, built not far from the gully, are on the verge of collapsing due to heavy rains. CHIPATA District Commissioner Kalunga Zulu says government will assess the situation in order to find ways of helping the people in the area before anything happens. Mr. Zulu has urged the residents of Mutilansembe area to take precautions towards their health since the heavy rains had washed away 2 pit latrines in the area. More in this report. And meanwhile, the Water Resource Management Authority, WAMA, has warned of possible flooding in Kasempa district due to increased rainfall activities in the area. WAMA Public Relations Officer Joshua Kapila says the flooding are expected along the Lubingu and Luangwa rivers from the 27th to the 31st of January 2021. A 20-year record high. Mr. Kapila has also told Camnet TV News that there is a high possibility of a 10-year return of floods in Mumbo district at the Hook Bridge and in areas downstream of the Tejiteji Dam and the Kasaka hydrometric station in Kafue River. He says this is projected to occur around the 7th to the 9th of February 2021. Mr. Kapila has since advised the public and concerned stakeholders in the affected areas to take all the necessary precautionary measures and urgently prepare for the projected flood events to avoid loss of life and property.
WAMA wishes to alert the public and its stakeholders that there is a high likelihood of a 20-year return flood in Kasempa district along the Lubungu and Lunga rivers from the 27th to the 31st of January 2021, which will cause flooding in areas along the river banks. According to our forecast, there is a high probability also of a 10-year return flood around Mumba at the Hook Bridge and in areas downstream of the Itezitezi Dam, which is in Namwala, and Kasaka hydrometric station on the Kafue River, which is predicted also to be around the 7th and the 9th of February 2021. Based on the analysis of our hydrological data, the authority has of late observed increased river flows due to increased rainfall in the above-mentioned areas, with a flooding expected to be severe in the same areas and in regions around Kasempa and Kalionga, respectively. In view of the above, the authority wishes to advise the public in the affected areas and concerned stakeholders to take all necessary precautionary measures and urgently prepare for the projected floods events to avoid loss of life and property.
The Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP, has reminded the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, to call for an indaba to discuss pertinent issues in the electoral process. FODEP Executive Director George Chimembe has joined other stakeholders who are calling on the ECZ to give a direction on how political parties will conduct campaigns amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Chimembe is concerned that amid the COVID-19, the governing Patriotic Front has been campaigning on the pretext of mobilizing the party. He, however, notes with concern that opposition political parties are being prevented from holding political gatherings owing to the COVID-19 while the PF continues to do so. Mr. Chimembe says the ECZ must quickly formulate guidelines before the campaigns begin to ensure a level playing field.
Is fast approaching for the country to host the general elections on the 12th of August 2021 as enshrined in the national constitution. Elections provide an opportunity to advance democratization and encourage political liberalization. For an election to be free and fair, certain civil liberties such as the freedom of speech, association and assembly are required. It is against this background that the Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP, has reminded the Electoral Commission of Zambia to call for an indaba to discuss pertinent issues in the electoral process. FODEP Executive Director George Chimembe says the ECZ must give direction on how political parties will conduct campaigns amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have seen in the past that the PF has found it very easy to go by, carrying out their activities without any adherence to COVID guidelines. But when it comes to the opposition, they are stopped by the police. COVID is cited. So this is where we've been calling for an indaba to be organized by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, so that some of these contentious issues can be agreed upon and the way forward mooted together. In terms of the anticipated lockdown, we hope that there will be no lockdown. We hope that the COVID cases will be managed.
And Mr. Chimembe has urged ECZ to be consultative.
Public are clients, civil society, all of us are clients, and we have a stake in the management of elections, because ECZ is not doing it for themselves, they are doing it for the public. And so we appeal to them that they should, consider, consulting widely on some of these important decisions that they are taking. For those that are calling for, elections to be postponed, I think that is misplaced, because we saw that in the USA, where the COVID figures are very high, they are alarming. They went ahead.
He has also recommended that electoral observers come earlier before the polls so that they can go through the 14 days mandatory quarantine period.
As a country, what we can say about the international observers is that they don't come to interfere with our elections, or they don't come to steal our elections. They just come to observe and make recommendations, which an electoral management body like the ECZ can take on board if they want, And what we can recommend is simply that these observer missions come in much earlier, so that they quarantine, they go for the mandatory 14 days or 2 weeks quarantine, and they are tested for COVID, and during their stay in Zambia they adhere to the guidelines from the Ministry of Health.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, National Democratic Congress NDC leader KAMBWILI has denied ever giving an interview to any media institution in Zambia, endorsing the idea of not holding the 2021 general elections due to the coronavirus. Mr. KAMBWILI explains that there was no such a time when he made such a proposal. More in this report.
National Democratic Congress leader Dr. KAMBWILI has refuted to the allegations circulating on social media that he said the 2021 general elections should be postponed due to the increased number of COVID-19 cases the country is currently recording.
If COVID will be at its highest peak, then we all have to meet as stakeholders and think outside the box. I never ever insinuated or said that the elections must not be held. How can I say that elections must be postponed? Because that is a constitutional provision. There is nobody, unless the constitution is changed, who can stop the elections on the 12th of August. Unless Parliament convenes and change the provision in there. Who am I to go for, deferring the elections? All I was saying, in short, elections must be held and there must be public meetings.
The opposition leader disclosed that his comment on the statement issued by the Electoral Commission of Zambia stating that political parties must find ways of campaigning without holding public rallies was that an election cannot be held without public meetings, as it was the only method of communicating, which is contrary to the information that is circulating on social media.
How will the people in the opposition interact and speak to the people of Zambia to tell them their manifesto, how they want to do things if there will be no public meetings? And my emphasis was that anything being held without public meetings is not an election. And I gave examples to say that in America, COVID was at highest peak, but the public meetings were going on.
The NDC leader has since appealed to citizens not to allow the elections to take place without public meetings.
There should be no elections without public rallies, public meetings, but the elections must be held on the 12th of August 2021. Just like the Americans held their meetings, held their elections on the day defined by the Constitution. I'm not a person who speaks and starts thinking. I think before I speak. That is KAMBWILI for you. Please understand that I'm a politician from the Maikosata School of Politics and Strategic Thinking. And I am so critical on issues. And when handling national issues, nobody, and I mean nobody, can compromise me.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Advocacy for Child's Justice has welcomed the decision by Parliament to table the Children Code Bill in its current sitting. The Children's Code Bill has been pending enactment by Parliament for over 14 years. Advocacy for Child's Justice Executive Director Josephat Njovu says the Children's Code Bill will enable a fair justice system for children who commit various offenses as opposed to subjecting them to the current judicial systems. He says children's rights have continued to be infringed upon due to the lack of proper laws that protect them. Details in this report.
Zambia was in 2018 listed among the least countries with regards to children-friendly policies in Africa. Many children in Zambia have for years been manhandled by both those in authority and the people who are supposed to protect them. While many children who break the law have been tried under the current Juvenile Act, many others have remained in prison without their cases being heard. Advocacy for child's rights have for years been pushing for an enactment of a court bill that will tackle a lot of children-related cases and protect their welfare. And after 14 years of lobbying for this cause, Parliament Chief Whip Brian Mundubila has finally announced that the Children Court Bill will be tackled in the current sitting of Parliament that resumed on 27th January 2021.
The Child Court Bill of 2021, the Land Tribunal Amendment Bill of 2021, the Land Survey Amendment Bill 2021.
While the call has been long overdue, Advocacy for Child's Rights Executive Director Joseph Njovu has welcomed the decision by Parliament as this will uplift the living standard of many children in the country.
A lot of injustices that are happening actually as opposed because of not having this bill in practice. Now, as you may be aware, that this actually bill tackles a lot of other child-related laws. There's Adoption Act, that actually is supposed to be brought into the same court. So I think maybe we can also talk about the actual bill, which is an amalgamation of different pieces of legislation. So there is the Administration of Children's Justice, Adoption Act, Affiliation and Maintenance Act, which actually speaks into the issues of the children. For example, children that are actually supposed to be adopted or children that needs to be taken care of by, in terms of resolving conflicts within families.
Then are some of the benefits of having the Children's Court Bill enacted into law,
which also will allow the diversion of children. Diversion of children, which means that children that have committed misdemeanors, offenses that small, in that matter. In that case, if you think of small cases, for example, stealing of a chicken, a SIM card, that are not of felony in nature, those can be diverted to institutions like ours as Advocates for Child Justice that can help the children to be counseled, be rehabilitated, as opposed to subjecting them to a system like our prison services that are not child-friendly responsive.
Children are the next leaders, and while their contribution to a current political space is minimal, protecting them remains cardinal to ensuring a better, well-cultured generation is groomed to take over from their fathers. Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
One of the lions that had escaped from their enclosure at Mundawanga Botanic Gardens in Chilanga district has been gunned down by the Department of National Parks and Wildlife in view of safeguarding the life of an officer who was almost being mauled by the animal. Tourism and Arts Minister Ronald Chitotela says on Tuesday around 19 hours, 2 male lions escaped from their enclosure in Mundawanga using a weak point in the fence that was eroded. The minister explains that the lions' motivation to escape from the enclosure was driven by their desire to find a mate. Mr. Chitotela says measures have been put in place to prevent reoccurrence of the incident, including the sourcing of 6.2 million kwacha from the Tourism Development Fund to rehabilitate the whole Mundawanga to give it a new face.
The offense is weaker, that's why the lions are breaking. Because as you may be aware, Mundawanga offense has been there for a long period of time. And what we have done as a ministry is to recommend for the reconstruction of a new offense. And the department submitted a budget of 6.2 million kwacha, and we have passed it on to Ministry of Finance to release under the TDF, the Tourism Development Fund. We hope very soon the Ministry of Finance will release that fund so that the Department of National Park and Wildlife can put up a stronger and better perimeter fence. Last year, the male lion again escaped during the mating period. And they met with the female, and that resulted into giving birth to 4 calves. And those 4 calves have grown. That saw the number of lions to increase to 12. As you may be aware, Mundawanga carrying capacity probably is up to 8 or 10. Now we had 12 lions. And another family in Chingwala whose husband died, who was also had the authority to keep lions, decided to return back the 4 lions to Mundawanga. That is bringing the number to 16. So we are exploring the possibility either of doing a public auction after the approval by cabinet, or we decide to release them in the wilderness so that they will be able to live by themselves. Now the question by the experts are they able to adapt because they are used to the easier life. So we are waiting for cabinet approval to see if the possibility of auctioning will be approved. Then the public will be informed.
Patriotic Front members in Petauke Central Constituency have expressed disappointment with its District Secretary Mavuto Banda for circulating a video on social media depicting an impression that Dora Silia is undermining President Edgar Lungu. In a video that has gone viral on social media, Mr. Mavuto Banda has alleged that Ms. Silia is heard saying if her, as a member of parliament, has failed to work on the bad state of the roads in her constituency, then it is President Edgar Lungu who has failed, not harm. Petauke Central Constituency Chairman Felix Ngulube says the allegations in the video against Ms. Silia are motivated by hate, envy, and full of injustice. Mr. Ngulube has noted that not at any point did Ms. Silia accuse President Edgar Lungu of failing the people of Petauke Central. He says it is therefore disheartening to hear that some of the district officials are championing hate speech against the area member of parliament instead of supporting her efforts in fostering development in the constituency.
Start by refuting the allegations that Mr. Mavuto Banda, commonly known as Parkins, made against the Honorable Dora Silia, MP, in a video that has gone viral, alleging that our Honorable Member of Parliament said that it's the Republican President, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, who has failed to bring development to the constituency by referring to the bad state of the roads across the constituency. As a party, especially Petauke Central Constituency officials, we find this allegation to be very strange and motivated by hate, envy, and full of injustice, as we know that this is not true. We shall therefore not condone failed leaders to keep spreading lies about her and purport that she has failed when she is one of the MPs in the district that has delivered and revamped the party for the people to see. Let me end by stating that the enemies of Honorable Dora Silia MP probably do not understand English very well, hence end up misquoting her. We are very disappointed with Mr. Mavuto Banda, the district secretary, that he should drag the name of our Republican president into his cheap politics due to hate of Honorable Dora Silia. It is shameful and indiscipline for him to even start spreading lies about a senior member of the party on issues he knows nothing about.
President Edgar Lungu has commuted the jail sentences of 246 inmates from death to life imprisonment. Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo announced the development at Mukobeko Maximum Security Facility in Kabwe on the 27th of January 2021. He disclosed that of the inmates, 225 are males and 21 females. The minister says the number of death to life sentences has accumulated to over 613. He also said the commutation of sentences of inmates will greatly help to decongest the condemned section of the maximum security. The minister further disclosed that Zambia has not carried out any execution of condemned inmates since 1997. He also explained that government is doing everything possible to ensure that inmates in various correctional facilities are protected protected from contracting COVID-19. Meanwhile, Zambia Correctional Service Commissioner General Chisela Chileshe disclosed that the service has recorded 67 cases of COVID-19 among inmates and officers across all correctional facilities.
Of January 2021, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, President of the Republic of Zambia and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Force, has exercised his prerogative of mercy by commuting sentences from death to life imprisonment of 246 inmates. The commuted inmates were all based here at Nkobeko Maximum Security and Kabwe Female Correctional Centers, respectively. Out of 246 commuted inmates, 225 are males, while 21 are females. The clemency of death to life sentences under His Excellency the President's leadership has accumulated to about 630 during his 80 years of reign. This unprecedented human rights record cannot go unnoticed.
We take our first set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our Zesco units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
We all miss the days we would play outside, go to school, and visit fun places. But now, we all have to take care to prevent the coronavirus. Viruses are really tiny particles that we can't see with just our eyes, so we need to keep ourselves safe by practicing good hygiene, such as washing our hands with soap and clean water regularly. We can also use hand sanitizer to keep our hands clean. It's also important for us to keep our bodies and surroundings clean. We must also avoid handshakes, hugs, and standing close to other people in public places. This is called social distancing. The coronavirus has affected millions of people around the world, so we need to stay safe. In the meantime, we can keep ourselves busy by reading a book, watching TV, and doing some schoolwork. There's so much we can do indoors. Stay safe, stay home, and prevent COVID-19. We're all in this together.
This advert is sponsored by the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Well, Amwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me.
Yes!
I already know the secrets. Oracle Pure Glycerin.
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin.
Hello, have you you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467.
Msika, allowing your business to grow.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. The Civil Society Constitutional Agenda CISCA is demanding for the immediate and public release of the report on the shooting to death of State Prosecutor Nsama Nsama and a UPND member Joseph Kaunda, who were shot dead on the 23rd of December 2020 by suspected police officers. On Tuesday, 26th January 2021, State House issued a statement that President Edgar Lungu had received the full report on the shooting from the Inspector General of Police on the investigation, and after studying the report, he had since handed it over to the Director of Public Prosecution for her attention. CISCA Chairperson Judith Mulenga says they are baffled by the President's non-disclosure of the contents of the report. She says the people have the right to know who put the triggers and who gave the orders to shoot. Ms. Mulenga states that the right to life is a fundamental human right that every individual, including Mr. Nsama and Mr. Kaunda, were entitled to, and the enjoyment of that right did not prejudice the rights and freedoms of others as per Article 11 of the Bill of Rights. She says the right to life is not listed under the Article 25 as one of the rights that can be derogated from under any prevailing circumstances.
The publication of the report be made public. Why has the President become tight-lipped on it? We contend that while the report was to the President, the content thereof is for the public. In trite law, whenever a document is concealed, the content is not favorable to the concealer. The secrecy in which the President wants to handle this report makes a compelling reason for the long overdue enactment of the Access to Information Bill, which has been pending for more than 2 decades. We therefore demand the enactment of the Access to Information Law before the dissolution of the current session of the National Assembly in order to breathe life into Article 20 on the freedom of expression, which includes the freedom to ask and receive information without hindrance. This way, the President and other public officials would be compelled to release information in their position that is not prejudicial to national security to the public. Justice for Nsama Nsama and Joseph Kaunda is not a national security matter. Why hand the report to the DPP? Did she ask for it? The DPP institutes criminal proceedings. Therefore, who committed the crime? And why has the police not arrested the offender? Is this part of the tiresome perennial PF schemes? The public deserves to know the truth. Nsama's and Kaunda's families and loved ones need to know the truth.
Minister of Fisheries and Livestock, Professor NKANDU, who is also Munali constituency Member of Parliament, has attributed the delays in the exportation of goats to Saudi Arabia to the COVID-19 outbreak. Speaking to the media in Lusaka Wednesday, Professor Luo explains that while the country was preparing to start the export after meeting all the requirements as demanded by Saudi Arabia, the COVID pandemic came in putting everyone on hold. The minister notes that one of the demands given was that government should export already slaughtered goats with strict adherence to the laws, which government met. For now, Professor Luo says government is still awaiting for COVID-19 cases to reduce so that the program can start, adding that Zambia has enough goat stock awaiting export. Close to 3 years ago, government sourced for readily available market for the goat export to Saudi Arabia, among other countries, but up to now, nothing has materialized.
It's a process that we needed to go through, and I've explained this before. One of them was the fact that they wanted the goats as carcasses, and they wanted them killed halal. So we had to go around to see which abattoirs have the capacity to do halal type of meat. We had zeroed on to 2. The other thing we did is that we partnered with Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe to sustain the 1 million goats per month. And just when we were about to start, COVID came. So the first wave of COVID. And just when we were about to start, the second wave of COVID came. So really what is delaying us is COVID. And we are hoping that the Minister of Health and his team are going to work around the clock and just reduce the current wave so that we can hit the ground running. We in fact have enough goats in the country because through our restocking and stocking, we have distributed to a lot of provinces in Zambia and lots of communities. So we think we have enough goats to be able to export. In fact, I think at the time we were starting, we didn't even have as many goats as we have now. And a lot of people in Zambia have warmed up to livestock farming.
Meanwhile, youths of Kamanga compound calling themselves The Voice have petitioned their MP NKANDU to facilitate the reconstruction of their police post. The police, which was vandalized by irate residents after a male adult was allegedly shot dead by the police, has been non-operational since October 2020. Speaking to Camnet TV News on behalf of the residents, Michael Mabenga says the lack of a police post has contributed to the rise in criminal activities, among them broad daylight robberies. Meanwhile, area MP Professor NKANDU received the petition with a promise of critically looking into the matter as soon as possible. Professor Luo says the bill of quantities is being looked at to facilitate the reconstruction of the police post. More in this report.
People only appreciate what they do not have, a common phrase that can be likened to the police service. Many do not see the value in having police presence until they are faced with challenges. In Kamanga compound, an area in Monali constituency, which had its police post vandalized after irate residents reacted in retaliation to an alleged shooting of a resident by police officers. The incident that happened in October last year has now left the area unmanned without any police presence. After all this, reality has dawned on the residents, who have now shown remorse in calling on the authority to facilitate for the reconstruction of a police post. In this regard, a youth-led organization calling itself The Voice petitioned area member of parliament with over 100 signatures from community members, with the hope that the signatures will compel quick action towards the reconstruction of a police post.
Advocating for the security of these things, because the police post, as you know, has been burnt down, has been broken down due to certain circumstances. So we petitioning the member of parliament to look into this issue, because this is an election year, first of all, and then with all these things going on, thieves are rising. So for the safety of the youths, for the safety of the elderly who have complained, and we've written to the Honourable Member of Parliament, this is a letter here, and this is a petition of over 100 people signing that a police post is urgent. So I'm appealing to the Honourable Member of Parliament. You have done a noble cause, you have distributed things, but the safety of these goods, because the thieves right now are actually watching what has been given, and these things will be taken away if security is not needed. So I'm appealing to the Honourable Member and all stakeholders to come on board. We've already spoken to the police, we've written to the school's on board, the police are also on board. They actually sometimes do come and survey the area at night. So we're just asking for the Honourable Member of Parliament to support this noble cause.
An area member of Parliament, Professor NKANDU, says a team has been set to look at the bill of quantities so that proper resources can be allocated towards the project.
Thank you, especially as young people, because I know you've been very, very adamant about this. And you've seen the need for us to put this structure back. And we are going to now look at the report and the BOQ that has been arrived at. Then we can see what variations we can make. We'll look at the resources that are available to us and start working, maybe bit by bit. I don't want to stand here. I'm not an MP that promises lies. I'm an MP who promises things that I know I can do. And we'll come back here when we've studied the BOQ and see what we can do, and also what we can do in the immediate.
Meanwhile, the MP has also advised members of the public to stop vandalizing public property whenever they are aggrieved.
As a community, is to stop this behavior where when people get upset, the first thing they do is to go and destroy property. Because property development is very expensive. And I don't know where we get this from as Zambians, where the first thing we want to do is destroy property. Now look at what this impact. A few people came here, misbehaved, broke up this property. Now we are talking about vandalism at our school.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A 33-year-old woman of Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound has been dragged to court together with her 18-year-old daughter for allegedly giving her abortion medicine. In this case, Elizabeth Chinyama has been charged with supplying drugs to procure abortion pills for her daughter, while her 18-year-old daughter, who is a pupu, has been charged with abortion. Allegations are that on the 31st, the 18-year-old, while carrying a pregnancy which was between 6 to 8 months, procured her own miscarriage by administering herself a nauseous thing, while her mother, Elizabeth Chinyama, is accused of allegedly supplying drugs or instruments to procure abortion contrary to Section 153. Facts surrounding the case is that on the material day, the 31st of December 2020, Ms. Chinyama was reported to the police by her landlady that she had given her daughter medicine for abortion and put the fetus in a small bucket in a blue bag, and the fetus died because the bucket had blood and water in it. And still in court news, the Lusaka Magistrate Court has sentenced the 22-year-old man who duped an MTN agent of 3,500 to 6 months imprisonment with hard labor. This is in a matter in which Pethia Situla was facing one count of theft contrary to Section 272 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. Particulars of the offense are that on the 15th of December 2020 in Lusaka, Pethia Situla did steal 3,500 kwacha cash, the property of Natasha Kapalase. More in this report.
The Lusaka's Magistrate Court was on Wednesday morning left in shock after a 22-year-old man of Lusaka's 10 Miles area informed court that he got a number of a witch doctor on a poster and went to a nearby MTN mobile booth and duped the agent in sending a 3,500 kwacha to the alleged witch doctor. Pethia Situla, who admitted stealing the money before court, told Magistrate Emma Masoja that he got a number from a traditional healer's post in order for his business to boost. However, he is not aware of what got into his mind to decide and dupe a 3,500 kwacha from an MTN agent. In this case, Situla, who was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment with hard labor, was facing one count of theft contrary to Section 272 of the Penal Code. Facts surrounding the case were that on the 15th of December 2020, Situla had gone to Natasha Kapalasa, the MTN mobile agent, under the pretext that he was sent by his boss, who he later identified as a witch doctor, to deposit the money. However, after the complainant in this case, Kapalasa, did the transaction, Situla became hesitant in giving her the money she had sent to the number he gave her, instead told her to send more money to the same number. After realizing that he might be a thief, Kapalasa called for help in apprehending him and took him to the police. And speaking shortly after his conviction, the complainant in this matter had this to say.
I'm very, very happy that justice has been saved, because this case was very tough, and I learned a lesson from it. I'm advising my fellow booth agents that before you make a transaction, please make sure that you collect the money first. You have proof of the money, you even count it. But I'm happy that even though I had made that mistake, at least the officers and the justice has been saved, because that person has been imprisoned, and then they shall be, that person has been imprisoned with hard labor for 6 months. So my warning, I'm very happy that justice has been saved, but my warning is that please make sure that you get the money first. Count it. Make sure that amount could amount deposit. This is my humble advice to my fellow agents, my fellow booth agents.
Miriam Kemper reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Livingstone Press Club has joined other media bodies in welcoming a pronouncement by government on the introduction of a minimum wage for journalists. Club President Hilda Akakelwa says it is gratifying to note that government has recognized the role of journalists in disseminating information. Ms. Akakelwa notes that journalists and other media personnel have for a long time been subjected to poor working conditions, leading to them in destitution in some instances. She says the new minimum wage will bring decency among other hard-working journalists, as they will also be able to provide for their families just like any other profession. The Livingstone Press Club has since called upon private media owners to fully support the minimum wage call by government, as it is meant to bring sanity in the industry through equal pay and equal work from both ends of the employer and the employee.
The Press Club wishes to join all other media houses in commending the move that government has taken to recognize that journalists are an important part in the development of this country by coming up with a minimum wage for journalists. This is a very welcome move. We would, however, like to encourage or to call upon media owners to adhere to the regulation as it's contained in the minimum wage for journalists. For a long time, journalists, especially those in the private media or community radio stations, have been made to work for almost next to nothing. It's our wish that this regulation will be adhered to. And to my fellow journalists, I would like to appeal to you all to continue being professional in our conduct, in the way we talk to people, in the way we interact, in the way we source our stories. Please, let's maintain professionalism.
We take our second set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
The Cowbell Choco formula has been stolen. Get it back at all costs. Tasting Cowbell Choco gives you the get up and go to be at the top of your game. Now with Vitality Plus Iron. Great tasting Cowbell Choco, a creamy chocolatey drink that helps give energy to get up and go.
Give me a latte.
Can I have that meal over there? And I really want that crisp, fresh apple taste from the garden. Can I have happy apple?
I think I'll have my big bite 2 meal with happy waziwaka.
Give us your...
Enjoy an appetizing big bag meal with an Appy drink of your choice. A meal is not a meal without an Appy drink. And now introducing Appy in a can.
Dr. Bigron, musaibala komutienda ukuni gift na land. Uchenkubeti uibise mojo basaione. Oh! Mwina mochi, nakuletera njinga. Latest inaluvesi gear na mawaipa.
Difficult tidi ashiria njinga. Liam 19 pendef kondo. Transport, we got it.
Nanga phone for communication. Ipunsana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a Camnet, difficult.
It's communication. We got it.
Mommy! Powerful system ndimba X-Buzz.
Mfumile kukalale. Na mnaimo muli bakumushi. We got it. Yo Bikron, utole noleta nchemfule mungani. Get you watch the post and change. 1, 2, 3, both of you. Kabala ngempang. Don't be stupid. We got it.
2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television. For non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage, Zambia needs Camnet television. For national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia, watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on GoTV and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, Tunisian riot police on Tuesday turned water cannons on protesters outside their heavily barricaded parliament as they tried to start the largest rally yet since demonstrations began this month over inequality and police abuses. Hundreds of protesters marched from the capital, where young people have clashed nightly with police for more than a week, and were joined by hundreds more near the parliament. Police blocked the march with barricades to prevent protesters approaching the parliament building, where legislators were holding a tense debate on a controversial government reshuffle. Protests broke out this month on the 10th anniversary of Tunisia's 2021 revolution that inspired the Arab Spring and introduced democracy in the North African country. Political analysts and economic decline have soared many Tunisians on the fruits of the uprising. In Parliament, Prime Minister Hicham Mechichi proposed a new cabinet, a move President Kais Saied had on Monday rejected as unconstitutional.
10 years after the uprising that started the Arab Spring, protesters are back on the streets in Tunisia demanding reform. Protesters want solutions to poverty and social injustice. Since Tunisia's 2019 elections, the economy has tanked. People are desperate for change, but the police are cracking down.
We still have the same demands, the same slogans. This is the biggest proof that what is called a revolution did not happen. The revolutionary path has been compromised, and today we protest to bring back the path the revolution was on, and in honor of the victims who lost their lives.
Hundreds joined in the capital of Tunis on Tuesday after clashing with police several nights this month. Riot police then used water cannon to try to disperse the crowd. Human rights organizations say more than 1,000 people have been detained, including hundreds of minors. Earlier in January, Amnesty International condemned Tunisia for its response to the protests, saying nothing gives security forces permission to deploy unnecessary and excessive force, including when they are responding to acts of sporadic violence. On Tuesday, Tunisia's parliament approved a cabinet reshuffle. While the prime minister pushed for the move, the president tried to block it, saying it was unconstitutional.
For 10 years now, we have been stuck in the back and forth in political pushbacks that created a deep abyss between the ruling elite and our people. This deepened the feeling among all Tunisians that they have been marginalized, feeling that the ruling class ignore and neglect their demands, struggles, and ambitions.
The prime minister said he hoped his 11 new ministers would inject new blood into his government. But during a break in the meetings, some opposition leaders actually left parliament to join the protests outside.
Before it is too late, we need to listen to the voice of our young men and women who are truly angry and join hands so we can work in all honesty and determination to find the needed solutions for their problems.
Tunisia's Free Desturian Party is among those demanding the withdrawal of confidence from the government, a move these protesters would welcome. Leah Harding, Al Jazeera.
We now get into sports news. And in sports news, World Soccer governing body FIFA has noted FA's President Andrew Kamanga's candidature for the FIFA Council position. FIFA has since notified Kamanga of his eligibility after having passed the integrity check. Kamanga sits on the FIFA Audit and Compliance Committee, where he was elected in May 2017 at the FIFA Congress. He is the only member from Africa on the committee. The first president will be joined by 5 other candidates on the quest for the African FIFA Anglophone seat. The slots for Africa on the FIFA Executive Committee include one for the CAF president, who automatically becomes the FIFA vice president, and another for a female candidate. The remaining 6 slots for CAF are divided in 2 language blocks, broken down as English, Arabic, and French. Each has 2 slots for candidates to vie for. In the English-speaking bracket, Kamanga will compete against candidates from Malawi, COSAFA, Nigeria, Gambia, West Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania, East Africa. Top 2 candidates will make it to the all-powerful FIFA body. The elections will be held in March. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. KAMBWILI denies proposing the postponement of the 2021 general elections. 100 houses on the verge of collapse in Chipata district. NKANDU claims 1 million export deal of goats to Saudi Arabia has been affected by COVID-19. In international news, police fire water cannon on Tunisians' march on parliament. And in sports news, FIFA clears Kamanga Executive Committee candidature after passing integrity check. The Camnet World Verse of the Day is coming from the book of Matthew 5 verse 7 to 8, and it reads, "The merciful are blessed, for they will be shown mercy. The pure in heart are blessed, for they will see God." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Lisedi Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.